Hi Sweetpea.
Hi there.
How are you doing?
I'm very good. We're still on travel at the moment. We're
Yeah.
still travelling. That's why we have the miniature baby mics.
Miniature baby mics, and we're in a different room which is a bit more echoey. I can hear my voice echoing. That's not ideal. But we have been visiting some amazing gardens. We've also been doing our own little Sweetpea and Bear version of some plant hunting.
Which is mainly us walking around the place going, ooh, what's that? Ooh, what is that?
Yeah, so we've been in some mountains.
Yes,
That's
been
we've
really
been by
nice.
lakes and all sorts of things. So
It's lovely.
we've just had a really good time being around plants and a lot of insects and a lot of wildlife, and that's been a joy, hasn't it?
It's beautiful at this time of year as well. There's kind of this mishmash of a spring and a summer
Yeah.
coming together.
Well, except we've got a heat wave now, so it's
that's heat wave,
majorly summer, but
Mountains are nice for a heat wave.
they're very nice for a heat wave. But we have really enjoyed taking photos and being in and amongst it, that we thought we might share some of it with you guys in due course. It's all a matter of time, how I can find said time. But we will put together some blogs, possibly some bonus podcast episodes to share all that with you guys.
Yeah.
But that's what's been keeping us busy, and so we've been a bit underground otherwise, and it means this will be a shorter, I say this every time, this will be a shorter episode than normal. And another thing I should apologise for in advance, I'm in possibly the creakiest chair you've ever sat in, so you'll hear a lot of that going on.
It's this kind of canvas chair with these rickety kind of
everything's falling
wooden
apart
pieces.
So I'm going to try not to move too much. But you've got some exciting things on the horizon, haven't you?
I'm getting ready to go into the studio, the music studio, soon. So I've been preparing a lot for that. I've been kind of we've been listening to a lot of different music.
Yeah, a lot of 80s vibes going on.
80s vibes. And
heavy beats.
Yeah, and we've kind of been taking little pieces, I like that little bit, or I like that little sound in the background. And so I put it all together for my sound engineer.
Yeah.
We can then chat about it when I'm in the studio.
Very exciting.
Very much looking forward to it.
And it works out quite nicely timings-wise, because we have just published the episode, our first episode of the new series of Chit Chats, and that is with James Baker, who you will either know him from Gardener's World. He had a little Your Gardens segment. He has his own gardening company called Green Baker Gardening. Also, you might have seen him on The Traitors if you watched that. But another string to his bow that I don't think many of us are aware of is his musical background. And he was able to impart quite a bit of advice to Sweetpea on the music industry.
Yes.
And, lots of things to think about, but it's quite good timing, isn't it, with you now going into the studio?
Yeah,
but
exactly.
You are doing it very much as kind of a hobby at this stage.
Just a hobby.
Yeah.
Nothing more than that.
Anyway, sweetie, we should have a look at this episode of Gardener's World.
Rampacked, full of show stuff. What's it called?
Jazz hands. I can't do this
because
because everything will creak. Anyway.
Don't do that.
So we don't have any housekeeping. I do have, actually, before I forget, one tiny fun fact. Again, it's a very small one, but I thought you'd appreciate this. You know when you say, "I'll see you in a jiffy"?
Yeah.
It just sounds like a little saying, meaning kind of a quick moment in time. It's actually a real unit of time.
A jiffy?
A jiffy, yeah. It's about 3 times 10 to the minus 24 seconds. Also, a sort of a more informal one is a 1 Lightfoot, which is equal to around 1 nanosecond. So when you say, "I'll be just a jiffy," you're actually being very accurate with your time.
Gosh, that's so cool. I love that.
Right, we shall get stuck into this episode then. Have a look at all these show gardens.
Yes.
This is Gardener's World 2026, episode 14, recap.
Off we go.
We start off with Francis and Monty, and they introduce to us what's coming up, and we get some lovely drone views of the event. Before then, Sue, Kent and Anderson emerge and have a quick chin wag. Before then, peeling off to look at pelargoniums.
Yes, exactly. Arrett's looking at the scented pelargoniums.
Her favourites.
She really, really loves, so her nose was pretty much right in the whole display.
Right.
But they're really great plants because they love free draining soil. Fairly easy to look after, just need that kind of heat. Them very Mediterranean vibes.
Yeah.
Those. But obviously need some water. And then also they were looking at the Verbascum Blattaria F. albiflorum.
Well, Sue was specifically, wasn't
Sue was
she?
looking
She
at
said
this
she
one.
loves Verbascums.
I think they're very, very pretty. But this one was a two-tone, so it had a kind of white background with then a lilac centre.
Fuzzy centre. It was like a little teddy bear, wasn't it?
It was really, really cute.
Gorgeous. She said it'll get to about 5 foot, and when the central stems finish flowering, chop that off, and all the side shoots will come up, and they'll keep on flowering. So you'll get, a long season of flower from it.
Yeah, exactly. And then Sue also went over to go check out some hydrangeas, and she was looking at one which was kind of a slightly more garish pink, but then she found the perfect one, and also the perfect name for one as well, called Confetti Dream.
Yeah, these were two tones, weren't they?
Two tones, yeah, and they're almost like a raspberry ripple through them a little bit, which I really loved. And we also had a look at, with Arit, the Lavatera red rum. That is a mallow plant, and that's a beautiful kind of dark burgundy colour, I would say.
Like sun or part shade, and it handles dry and moist.
Yeah, all
long
conditions.
Flowering season too, June to October. Also, at one point, Arit just pops off to chat to somebody about their plants, and they're after some greenery, aren't they? And she recommends a fruit tree because of its blossom and foliage and fruit.
I didn't get that because most fruit trees lose their leaves.
Yeah. Anyway,
so
the person she spoke to seemed perfectly happy with that advice.
Yeah, and I felt so sorry for Arit because then Sue just comes over with the biggest hydrangea,
plonks it in her arms,
really just passes it over. Arit's just like, oh well, I better take this then, and then Sue just goes and
she does a dump and run. That's what I used to do with you at birthday parties, because I would get 2 hours off parenting. Go, here's my daughter, thank you, bye.
And also, you didn't want to have to kind of stand around, do that kind of polite hello to all the other parents.
Polite chit-chat with all the other mothers. No, I never enjoyed that.
We love a chit-chat, but we don't like to have to do the polite one that you have to do at the beginning of the conversation.
Not very good at that.
No. Well, I think we then go with Adam Frost, and he's looking at some gardens.
Yeah, some show gardens. So the first one was the Artist's Garden. This was designer Denise Rice from Derby College.
Yes.
And she won a silver for this one. It was also created by the students of Derby College.
Yeah, exactly, which I thought was very, very cool.
We've seen them previously, or gardens that have been created by Derby College.
Oh, it does ring a bell, actually.
They're regulars.
Okay, cool.
We had these 3 spaces that were veggies, then there was a wilder area with a medlar and an apple at each end.
Yeah.
And then through the arbour there's a cottage garden with lots of little sculptures made with kind of organic matter, sort of nice weaving, making toadstools and that kind of thing.
Exactly.
Very sweet.
I really love this element of mixing proper art to gardening, which is also partially an art as well, partially a science.
Very
it's
much
just everything.
So.
It's natural. Well, natural ain't nasty. And they had, of course, lots of cottage garden plants in there, which I really like the vibe of. And then adding that with a mosaic, which you'd think of more kind of Mediterranean. So you had this real kind of almost clash, but it just kind of weaved together perfectly. Yeah. And there were things like geraniums and digitalis, so those are foxgloves. And roses as well, loads of those.
And Adam particularly liked the foxgloves and roses, didn't he? They were all interplanted.
Foxgloves seem to be kind of having their peak season. I'm hearing
very much so.
So many people talk about them, and they come up so much through this, so much that on my plant list that I was writing down, I was worried how many times I was writing either digitalis or foxglove.
Oh, really?
So if you see it a lot on the plant list, I'm afraid that's just because there were a lot of them.
All right. You probably only need to put it once, though, don't you?
Yeah, but then it's out of sync. You've got to do it.
That's okay.
As they talk about
it. People will know what's going on. Then we looked at another show garden that was called The Heart of the Jungle.
Yeah.
Designers Bryony and Jonathan Backick.
Yes.
They won a silver merit. They also won the People's Choice Show Garden Award.
I get why. It was absolutely stunning. I found that this year at Gardeners Wildlife there were so many really bold colours, and there was such a kind of a dark background theme with then bold spikes of colours and greens as well. There was such a cool theme this year, and they were going very Caribbean. Pink arches that were painted.
Oh, see, right, that's interesting you say that, because I saw them as kind of red arches and very square arches, weren't they? And they reminded me of they look like kind of contemporary, those red pagodas, Japanese pagodas that you get with the red and black. sort of black at the base and then red over the top.
Oh, yes. I see what you mean.
I don't know if there was any inspiration from there. Yeah. But they did have those black backdrops. Yeah. And then some very dark sofas as well. I really do like the black backdrops.
Yeah. And I'm even thinking now, a dark burgundy can look quite interesting against the black background. Yeah. You can only just see it. Yeah. But there's something...
It's quite dramatic, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm imagining, those kind of pink elderflower... I know there's a specific name for them, but they get pink elderflower flowers, and then all the stems and all the leaves are really dark chocolate. Yeah. And I can imagine that with then those little poofs of pink on a black background. That would look
striking.
That would look so cool.
Yeah. No, I like that idea. I like design a garden.
I should design a garden.
There was lovely planting. There were cannas, bananas, tree ferns,
fatsias.
Yeah, dahlias. Yeah, giving a proper colour amongst the foliage planting.
Yeah, real pinks and oranges just splashing in there.
Kind of an urban jungle, I guess.
Yeah,
really,
exactly.
So a very foliagey garden. But then we meet up with Frances again, and she's looking at the most incredible orchids. These were second to none. These were the Disa orchids.
Yeah, the Disa orchids, DISA.
Which are native to Table Mountain in South Africa. Yeah. They were so striking. She explained how they have very large flowers to draw in the butterflies, the pollinators. And they actually date back to 90 million years ago. Ooh. Then we briefly catch up with Professor Alice Roberts. We see more of her in her garden later on.
We do.
She is there with garden design guru Professor David Stevens. They're at Birmingham Winterbourne Gardens. And David talks about how he has been around ever since the very beginning. He was with Jeff Hamilton for the Gardeners' Wild Lives. And
in a helicopter. Oh, what was he doing up there? I was
like... quite dramatic, wasn't it?
Can't they have Monty in a helicopter?
That was pre-health and safety, darling. Pre all the bureaucracy of that. So you could get away with swooping in a helicopter.
Doing a James Bond thing like at the Olympics with the Queen.
That was so cool. We really have moved away from that now. It's very different to those days.
It's too kind of really pushed into this fine line.
Yeah. You can't deviate much, can you? You've got to stay within the rules. Yeah. And, health and safety will have an issue with that, so you can't do that.
It's very interesting because actually we were chatting to our dentist the other day because I was wanting to do a kind of work experience possibly at this practice because I really, really love it. I kind of have known my dentist for a long time and he's lovely. Yeah. And we were talking about if I could possibly do some work experience. And he was like, I mean, it's very hard to get work experience now, especially in the medical world, because it's all health and safety and oh gosh,
insurance and all of that.
All like crazy stuff. You could get sued for a needle prick or something like that. I don't know, but they're just everything's so confined. Yeah. And it's so like, oh, you can't do this. Or
your wings are clipped more, aren't they? It was like that when you were trying to do work experience in the veterinary world. Yeah. We were very limited on options because of that. But that's just how it is now. Everything is ruined by all the paperwork. I know it saves lives. That's what it's meant to be doing. But you remember we've spoken to some of the garden designers on our chit chats. Yeah. So Tom Hoblin talked about how there's a huge amount of bureaucracy around doing Chelsea that just makes it so much less fun than it used to be. We have a chit chat coming up with a designer and he also reiterated exactly that, didn't he?
Very
and that's just puts him off the whole process. So it's just basically it takes all the fun out of everything. Yeah. And it saves lives.
Exactly. I like to go back to the day where if you stub your toe or fall over and break your nose, it's just like, oh, dab, dab, there we go. You'll be great. Don't worry, mate, because hell, it's not going to kill you. It's just going to hurt you for a bit. And then you get up and carry on, and then you'll be telling your grandkids about it. Going,
you fell over, stubbed your toe and broke your nose.
Yeah. Whereas what we're going to be doing, we're going to be, you have no idea the amount of forms I had to fill out just to sweep the dental practice.
For your work experience?
For my work experience. Like, our kids will just be going, oh my gosh, it's the most boring bedtime story ever. I want something to tell them.
That you flew around Birmingham NEC in a helicopter.
Precisely.
We would like to see next year at the Gardeners' Wildlife Monty leaning out a helicopter,
Yeah.
shouting into a microphone.
I'd love him even to skydive down, and there's the whole crowd of people below going, "Wah!"
Look, the Queen managed it for the Olympics. I
Yeah.
think Monty can manage it for Gardeners
so.
World Live.
Honestly.
Right, we must move on.
Mm.
So, Professor Alice Roberts, who's a huge hero of mine, we hear a little bit about the garden that they have coming up. This is what was it? Not a show garden, not a showcase garden.
Feature garden.
Feature garden, thank
The
you.
feature garden.
Feature gardens. And David talks about how it's very different from things he's done before, and how with this one he wants everything to look as natural as possible. So not a pretty garden, it's a roughed up landscape.
I like that.
Really,
which
so I absolutely love that. And Alice really wants to communicate evolution to the public through this garden.
Yeah.
So they got 13 separate stages. I just think it's such an exciting garden. I so wish I could have seen this in the flesh. And it traces the evolution of plants from, so you've got the Cambrian phase right at the beginning, which is a lot of rock and water. You go through the Devonian into the Carboniferous and through the Great Extinctions as well. And we see that later.
Yes, I loved how they showed the Great Extinction.
So this wonderful journey through time. And Alice is looking at mosses and how they colonised the land.
She also showed the liverworts or liverworts, however you want to say it, which are really primitive plants that we still have today. They almost look like little filmy ferns.
Yes.
Actually, and they just colonised the ground, and she wants that just to really spread and just to make it look as natural and as kind of as if no one's touched it.
So much
to make
fun.
It look like that.
Gosh, what a great idea, and nobody better to do it than Alice.
Well, we're back with Frances again, and she's talking about plants that are very adapted to dry conditions, which is fantastic. Because I imagine that Gardener's World Live was very hot this weekend, looking at the weather forecast.
I can imagine so.
Crazy hot in those tents. Ooh. So she talks about the Dianthus Carthusianorum, bit of a tongue twister.
Rather you than me.
Yeah. And she says how it pairs really nicely with Achillea and Steeper.
Yeah, and like you say, great for a dry hot space, and it'll seed all over the place, which is just what I'm after.
Yeah, exactly. It goes like crazy. And then this was an interesting scene because I felt like Frances wasn't meant to be doing this next bit, where she pricked out from what looked like a plant that was to be sold.
Oh, right.
A little cutting, which had obviously the little roots on. She said that it's really easy to propagate. I was like, sure. But I'm not sure you were meant to be doing it, because also she was crouched down and I was wondering if she was hiding. And the camera
from the nursery owner.
Yeah. And if the camera crew and her were just running away.
Being screamed at.
Yeah, exactly.
By Dan's plants. There wasn't Dan's plants though. He was elsewhere this weekend.
He was.
Yeah, so she shows us how to propagate it, and you take this
easy.
basil cutting, then you put it into gritty compost with some water.
Exactly.
Very, very easy.
So easy.
I'm imagining they bought the plant.
Oh, yeah, probably. That would be the decent thing to do.
That would be the decent thing to do. And then Sue reminisces with Adam that 3 years ago she did a border at Gardener's World Live, and then they go to check out a few.
Yeah.
So these are beautiful borders.
Mm.
And we first off look at Stories of Memory, and the designers are Adrian Burrows and Lucy Morton, and they won a gold for their border.
Lovely.
It's the one that had an Anderson shelter. It had lots of nasturtiums growing, sort of climbing up the outside of the shelter.
Yeah.
And it had a lot of veggies along the bottom, the outside. Adam said it feels like the seaside.
Yes, it does, because there were a lot of grasses and ferns as well in there.
Well, I've got a description of that one.
Oh, yeah.
Which is is on the board that they put in front of it. It said, informed by conversations with people living with Alzheimer's and their families, it explores how memory remains sensory and comforting as it changes. A recognisable Anderson shelter sits at its heart, recalling wartime Britain and the resourcefulness of Dig for Victory gardens, surrounded by edible and familiar planting that evokes daily routines and childhood gardens.
Interesting.
And I don't think they mentioned at all about it being sort of the Alzheimer's element of it.
So about that.
It sort of pulls it all a bit more together once you know that backstory, doesn't it?
Yeah, I really like that.
There's then a Rags beautiful border, and this is by The Light of the Moon designer Kate McCallum.
Yes.
And she won a platinum for that. She also won the best WFGA border.
Okay.
And Sue's looking at this one. There's that string hammock on a wooden frame.
Looks super comfy.
Lots of whites and blues in there.
Mm-hmm.
I loved this one. I thought it was really pretty. Apparently it was beautifully fragrant, Sue mentions.
Yeah, which I can really imagine with the types of plants that are in there.
Yeah. Well, what Kate says about the garden, she says, once upon a time transports me back to childhood and the world of fairy tales. Because the theme, by the way, on the borders, did they mention that was once upon a time?
Oh, no.
No.
I didn't know
so
there was a
that's what
theme.
all the borders were based on that.
Oh, cool. It's like the Met Gala.
So she says, once upon a time transports me back to childhood and the world of fairy tales. My border is set in the magical twilight hours as the world slips into sleep. Colours fade into shades of dark and light, and the sense of scent heightens. My border is a space in which to dream when the light is fading.
That's very nice.
That's lovely, isn't it? Then we have another beautiful border. This is A Garden Out of Time, designer Robert Harris. He won a gold for this.
Oh, really? Oh,
yeah.
Cool. A lot of whites. It was a very Dingley Dell vibe to it. And then also the little gnomes. Was it him who carved those, do you think? Or do you think
I don't know
else?
about that. But there was one, apparently Adam was amongst them.
Apparently. I think also he said that Monty is meant to be in there. I think he did a whole load of kind of the main crew from Garden as well.
We didn't get to see those particular ones, did we?
No,
but
I wish they had shown them.
This is what Robert says about the garden. For me, gardens are places to escape, and as a child, they were somewhere I could truly be alone. I would get lost in worlds at the bottom of the garden, places that were just as real to me as the normal world. As a child, I knew that gnomes existed, and probably fairies, trolls, and pixies too. This garden then heralds the return of the gnomes and the panoply of magical creatures that once roamed freely in our world and our young and open minds.
I love that.
Hence the mass of gnomes streaming along that path.
But I really loved how they were properly carved. They weren't the normal pottery garden gnome.
You don't like the brightly coloured gnomes?
No, I love them.
Red hat and
I think they're absolutely
blue jacket and a fishing rod.
I absolutely love them. I especially love Romeo and
Nomeo and Juliet.
Nomeo and Juliet, exactly. I was trying to think how it went. Nomeo and Juliet. I love that. I think garden gnomes are absolutely hilarious because you can really express your thoughts on the garden gnome.
Shall we put some in our garden? I don't know what the badger will think of those. Just boot them out of the way.
But you could even just put one at the front of your garden with a really rude sign just telling people to back off. And then that's saying it nicely. And you don't have to be responsible for the words. You can just go,
no.
Honestly, this guy is such a pain, honestly. Gary, get up there.
Of course he's called Gary.
But yeah, I really liked that they were carved out of wood. It added that little extra bit of je ne sais quoi.
Yeah. Then we have a rags beautiful border, and this is The May Morning by designer Ellen Pye. And she won a silver for that.
Yeah.
She was dressed up in her Morris dancing outfit.
Yeah.
And she's having a bit of a chat because we, of course, saw her last week when she was prepping for it, wasn't she?
Very worried about things not being in bloom. And from what we just saw, they didn't show that much of the border, but I saw a lot in bloom and it was very pretty.
Yes, I saw a lot of photos online, and she definitely had that hedgerow. She was going for the hedgerow kind of vibe to it, very natural,
very
sort of wildflower type vibe.
Meadows.
But we got to see the maypole. We also got to see this kind of whirly-gig with the bells on. I guess it had little, essentially sails, so it should spin round on a windy day. So you're going to get a lot of clanging with that one.
Yeah.
Did you see any plants you particularly liked in that? There was the scabious for me, which really caught my eye.
Oh, I mean, they didn't show it enough for me to be able to see properly the plants. I only got like quite a high up shot of the garden.
Yeah.
And then it was just kind of, the camera was just on Sue and Ellen
It's
together.
very hard for them to try and fit in so many gardens into an hour-long episode, because is it better that you get a fleeting view of a lot, or is it better to get more detailed view of a few?
It's like when you're having cake. Is it better to have a little piece of all the different types of cakes?
Right.
Or to have a lot of just one
of the chocolate fudge cake?
Chocolate fudge cake.
Is it like cake? Okay.
And
I hadn't ever considered that.
Well, if we're considering it like that, I think I would have to go with a little bit of a lot.
Right, okay. So how they've done it.
So how they've done it.
I guess the other thing, of course, is that you can come to our website and you'll find links to all of them where you can see a lot more photos and a lot more detail. So I've had a lot of fun going through all the photos of all these gardens, and so do see them a lot more how they're meant to be seen. There's one later on, for example, the umbrellas one.
Yeah.
There's a lot of colour, but you don't get to see close up any of that colour. So I have attached links to all of these.
Oh, that's
you can really, zoom in on the bits that you couldn't see from the programme. The other ideal thing is that you turn up in person.
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's...
Which we couldn't do, but would have liked to have done.
Exactly, and cool, blimey, was it hot. Well, I mean, it just means that you can have your cake and eat it at that point.
Oh, very good, Sweetie. Well, then Monty introduces a couple who've been showing at Gardeners World Live since its conception.
Yes,
so that's over 30 years.
Wow.
And they've won 100 RHS Golds in that time. That's extraordinary, isn't it?
That is just mental.
And it's Rosie and Rob Hardy, and they're at their Hampshire nursery prepping for this year's show.
Yeah.
We hear Rob immediately say, "What I love about plants is that I met Rosie." Isn't that sweet?
Oh my gosh.
So Rosie is, I think what I'm gathering, is a bit like 50 Shades of Green, where it's Anne-Marie who was the plant person, and then Andrew became a plant person on account of Anne-Marie. I don't know, reading between the lines possibly.
Reading between the lines.
But Rosie seems to be the one who was, it was her absolute passion, the plants.
Yeah.
And then Rob enjoys going out and encouraging people to buy their plants.
It's perfect. You need a salesman.
He's the salesman.
He's the salesman. You need a
front of house.
You need a front of house. We're finishing each other's sentences.
May I interest Modem in this scabious?
You'll find that it works perfectly and goes with your eyes. I don't know.
Is that how you're going to serve wine? May I interest Modem in this bottle of red? You'll find it's got legs and a great nose. Anyway, some key ones that Rosie suggests are hardy geraniums, and I could not agree more.
Yeah.
I'd quite happily have the whole garden full of these.
She calls them the anchor plants, which is such a good point, because I find most plants, I'll come back to this later actually, but this plant is really good at holding other plants up, and that's why I think it's such a good name to have it called an anchor plant.
Well, so which hardy geranium does she talk about that first off?
Yes. So we talk about Geranium Orion, and that's quite a tall plant actually, quite big, which you can create a whopping mound, meters across.
Blue.
And blue. Purpley blue, really. And then we have the Geranium Cyrac, and that is very pink, and that loves a full sun.
That loves a full sun. The Orion likes sun to part shade.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I didn't know this, was that the hairy leaf, so you feel those little tiny hairs, that means it likes full sun. So check that out when you're buying it in the plant nursery or wherever you are getting your plants from.
And then there was a full shade one as well, wasn't there?
Yes, the Geranium Nodosum Clos de Coudray.
Yeah, glossy leaved.
Yes, very glossy leaved. So I'm thinking that for now, when I'm buying any hardy geraniums, as soon as I see a glossy leaf, I'm going to go, that is shady.
Shady.
And then a hairy geranium leaf, hardy geranium leaf, that likes the sun.
Yeah.
So I think that's quite good.
A rule of thumb.
Rule of thumb, we're going to go with that.
Well, regardless, I just love all hardy geraniums. They're one of my favourite plants.
Absolutely love them.
And then Rob's looking at two penstemons.
Yes, these are the fine leaf varieties, which become very shrubby, which is nice. So don't worry about them being too thin. So we have Penstemon glaber roundway snowflake. And then we have Penstemon heterophyllus Catherine de la Mer.
They flower from June to October, so another nice long flowering plant.
Exactly.
Keep deadheading them, he says. And then from September onwards, I think he said, don't touch them. You leave them all to, keep all the growth on to protect in the event of any frost. So keep it all there. And then it's the following year, the spring, that you can then cut them back as the new growth is coming through.
Exactly.
And then Rosie talks about how they're moving away from vermiculite and perlite, which involves a lot of fossil fuels to create. And they're looking at cork. And when she talked about the vermiculite and perlite, she said about how you get a lot of mould on it. And that has been an ongoing problem for you when you've used it.
Constant problem. And I just thought that this was
I thought it was a Sweetpea problem.
Yeah, I thought it was a Sweetpea problem. I thought it was a me problem. Yeah, because when Monty, he always does his little thing of vermiculite or perlite on top.
And not once has he mentioned mould, has he?
No, and when if you see his little seedlings coming up, you do not see mould on his
Whereas
plants.
yours are pretty hideous.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyways, I was so happy because Rosie had it, and Rosie's a professional. So I'm like, okay, I can. My
You and
standards
Rosie.
Me and Rosie, we've got
You know
this.
what you're talking about.
We know what we're talking about. So she said she's moving towards cork. Now cork is very interesting because at first I was like, not very sustainable.
Oh, really?
I was quite against it because I thought, you're harming the tree, you're stripping it of its bark. If it's got bark, why do you think it has bark? It's obviously to protect it. Duh. That was just an ignorant me. But having looked it up, and obviously they explained how it works.
Yes.
The cork on trees is that kind of outer layer stripped from the tree. Now, professionals, first of all, are the ones who take it off. It's not just anyone going and ripping off a shred, because you need to make sure you keep the rest of the tree intact and that you have the motorways really of water going up, or all the reserves and glucose going back down. So it's keeping that circulation, which usually is why you can't strip bark off any other trees, because then you're stripping off the circulation. Whereas with cork trees, that circulation is quite central.
Yeah.
It's not kind of on the outside.
Not on the periphery.
Exactly.
You need old trees though, don't you?
Well, it is said that they take kind of between 10 and 25 years to regenerate that cork bark. And so stripping it off apparently is not harming them. I did see somewhere where they're less disease tolerant when their bark is stripped. Kind of obvious. It's as if you walk outside into the snow without a coat.
Yeah.
So I was a little bit interested in that. But apparently, because we're all going with screw cap tops for bottles of wine.
There are all these trees doing nothing with their lives.
The trees are doing nothing, but also the people who farm the cork
doing nothing with their
they
lives.
They have nothing
either.
with their lives. They're probably just watching TikTok all day. So
exactly.
It's really bad.
So let's get those trees working for a living.
Exactly. So it's meant to be a sustainable way of doing it, and these trees can live till 200 years old, and then you want to stop stripping them by that time.
But what's also very interesting about cork is that it's antifungal. And
it is.
I've always known this because I remember going away on holiday with your grandmother and your uncle.
Oh, yeah.
Leaving your granddad at home alone.
Oh, gosh, he was working. Eat macaroni cheese all day.
He did eat a lot of mac and cheese. And when we came home, he had decorated the bathroom in its entirety, floor to ceiling, no exaggeration, literally on the ceiling, the walls and the floor, with cork tiles. And he said it's an amazing product to use because it's antifungal. So we definitely never got any fungus in that bathroom, I can tell you that much.
Oh,
but relating that to what we're talking about here with Rosie and Rob, you're not getting then the mould and the sort of green growing on top of your pots.
Yeah.
Vermiculite, because you've got cork there.
Fantastic. And also when you think about it, it acts as a kind of sponge. So if you have that mixed into the mix, not just on top, can be a little bit of sponge and release a little bit of moisture.
Is it? I don't know how spongy it would be, because if you think about cork in a bottle, is that spongy? Soaking up?
You can squish it around. Not really.
Yeah.
No.
There's a difference between squishing something around and soaking stuff up like a sponge. I can squish you around, but you're not soaking up. If I poured a bucket of water in you, you wouldn't just go... So I don't know about that bit, but that might be worth looking up for housekeeping next week. Anyway, we get back to the show, and Rosie and Rob are there and at their stand, and they're with Monty. And Monty asks a bit more about the cork. He's very interested in it. He's got some pertinent questions to ask.
Yeah.
They explain how they do mix it in with the soil as well as having it on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they don't do it because it soaks up the water, surely.
Who knows?
They use it like they would with... I thought, but we should look this up because I could be completely wrong. I thought they were mixing it in as kind of a grit. Like you would, you're not using vermiculite and perlite as a sponge, are you?
Well, actually, no. Perlite is a slow release.
Okay.
Can release actually good stuff into soil, and then also any water it soaks up, so it is actually a little sponge.
Ah.
That I know for a fact.
All right. Well, I could be eating my words, but let's find out
Let's
for
look that
next
up.
week.
Can cork soak things up just because it's squishy?
Very interesting.
Very.
And then finally, Monty says how he likes the Aruncus. Says it likes dapple shade and not too wet a soil, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
So he buys it.
Yes, he does.
Well, Rob and Rosie have Hardy's cottage garden plants. They were on Gardener's World last year on episode 16 in the Hampton Court episode.
Oh.
So we talked a bit about them back then. But something I think Rosie said it this time on this episode. She certainly said it last time as well. Right plant, right place. Very important. But I'll put a link to their nursery onto our website.
Fantastic.
We're then with Arit, and she talks about how Gardeners World Live is celebrating 10 years of APL Avenue, and this is Association of Professional Landscapers. And here they highlight the importance of creating real take-home spaces that we can do at home.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first of the APL Avenue gardens is the Mill Ruins. This is designer 3DG, landscaper Guns and Roses. Cool name. And they won a silver merit. Now, this was inspired by the Lancashire Historic Mills.
Oh.
They had that central raised bed for fruit and veg. They had a big apple tree.
Strawberries.
We saw strawberries, yeah.
Yeah.
Some holes for the bees.
Yeah, little wildlife holes. They were sweet.
And then there was that water feature with the water running down a rain chain.
I thought that was
and
awesome.
then collecting in a pond. Very nice. It makes a nice sound, doesn't it?
I saw a water feature actually the other day, which was really, really beautiful. It was in the shape of like an oak tree sapling.
Yes.
And then it had water dribbling out all across all the leaves, and they were all just shining, and you had this dribble down into this beautiful turquoise pond.
It was, it was turquoise because I think it was copper, and so it was going green.
It was.
Greeny, sort of bluey turquoise.
Beautiful.
Oh yeah, really lovely. But the sound was particularly nice because it was an oak tree sapling. I don't know what material it was. It looked quite sort of bronzy. I mean, I'm sure it wasn't. But it had lots of little oak leaves on it, didn't it? It wasn't just a sapling in winter. But very pretty,
It's absolutely stunning. And I loved it because the water just trickled down randomly. It wasn't like a symmetrical feature.
Well, 3DG, or David G, as he goes by, the designer of this one, he says, the Mill Ruins is a garden about renewal, where structure fades and nature quietly takes back control.
Lovely.
Another APL Avenue Gardens was umbrellas. This is the one I touched on earlier. Designer Dave Hodgson, landscaper JG Landscaping. They won a silver merit.
Okay.
This was the one with all that colour. It looked almost like outdoor rooms, or it looked like wallpapered rooms almost. There was a chandelier I saw, but really, almost like they had stripy wallpaper on. Really quite brash colours.
Like an IKEA space.
Yes, kind of like an IKEA space.
Kind of.
Yeah, but they're doing a display.
Yeah.
What Dave Hodgson says about this garden, he says, the garden umbrellas takes inspiration from the cult French film, The Umbrellas of Cherbourg, which featured an ebullient colour design, an all-sung narrative, and a bittersweet love story.
Ooh.
So I looked up that film, and you can see it's very inspired by that, very sort of strong colours.
Oh, cool.
But it was a fun garden. I enjoyed looking at that one.
Oh, how interesting. That reminds me when we've been in France, they do these beautiful kind of markets in the summer, kind of summer evenings.
Oh my gosh, yes.
And there's one market, it's absolutely amazing because it was so scorching. They had, through the alleyway, they put lines across the houses, between the houses, and had strung up hundreds of multicoloured umbrellas all the way along.
To create shade.
But at the same time, it had this dancing Technicolor light.
They were all different colours, weren't they?
They were so cool.
Really very effective.
I
liked that a lot.
Reminded me of this a lot.
Yeah. Well, the next garden we look at here is called Sanctuary for a Changing World. This is designer TJ Kennedy, landscaper, landscape design, and they won a gold. So this was the one with the native wild hedging. There was a lot of greenery.
Brickwork.
Yeah, reclaimed materials, that brick.
Exactly.
And they had this kind of enclosed brick area which was framing the growing area, wasn't it? And Arit mentions, that's radiating the heat to the fruit and veg, like a mini walled garden, essentially.
Exactly.
Well, here's what they say about that one. The garden demonstrates the continued relevance of the enduring ancient language of enclosure, showing how tradition can evolve to meet our needs. In response to our shifting climate and our renewed appreciation for the symbiotic relationship between human and nature, the walled garden and its ancient principles are revitalised.
Lovely.
And then we get to meet the train enthusiast, Andrew or Andy Christie.
Yep.
And his model railways.
Mm-hmm.
And we also meet his long-suffering wife, Louise Christie.
Her long-suffering, but there seems to be a beautiful balance between them.
Yeah, I don't know how long-suffering.
No,
she seems to be
short-suffering.
Really into it as well. Short-suffering. That works. But she's very on board with all of this.
Yeah.
On board.
You had to get that in there.
Anyway, Andy has all sorts of model railways, and he's a train driver as well, and a train driving instructor.
Yeah, he literally went from a little boy playing with trains to
absolutely
a man on his train.
I absolutely loved this. I love anything that just ignites your imagination. It's like model villages. That's such a British thing, isn't it? Model villages.
The miniature ones, and then the one they did of Hogwarts. I mean, they're so awesome, whether you're 4 or 85.
Wait, what Hogwarts one are you talking about?
The Harry Potter.
Wasn't that Lego?
No, the Harry Potter village. They recreated it all. They did a miniature Harry Potter landscape.
Right.
It's absolutely incredible in London somewhere.
Yeah.
And it just reminds me of that. Whether you're 4 or whether you're 85 years old, you're going to really love that.
Absolutely. Yeah, so this was a lot of fun. So we're at his place in Bourneville, Birmingham, and he explains a bit. So basically he's got this show garden that he's going to do at Gardeners Wild Live, but we're looking around his own home garden where he does have a train running through the garden, and he explains that the bigger the train you have, the larger radius you need, which it's a no-brainer when you mention it, but I'd never thought about that. Because you can't corner quite so well when you're
you can't just go right angle.
So he has a plot of 11 metres by 15 metres, and he's got 2 sections, one with real-world plants.
Yeah,
things you see that you see on the lines. Presumably no Japanese knotweed, which is renowned for being on lines. Yeah. A lot of buddleias, I imagine. Yes, they like to be on train lines. And
wildflower patches.
You see all those in real life. And then the second bed features more dwarf planting to complement the size of the train. So bonsais, and that's where Louise comes in. She's the chief grower. She knows what she's doing with the plants.
Exactly, and she's got little miniature things, little alpines. So she has, first of all, she talks about the olive tree and the pistachio plant that they have in their garden.
Yeah.
Those won't be replicated, but that's just kind of their centerpiece.
Their 8-year-old olive tree. They got that with their wedding money.
Best thing to get with your wedding money.
And also we hear that Louise grew up in Spain.
Very interesting.
So she really loves that Mediterranean vibe. So lots of sand and gravel for the drainage of those Mediterranean-y plants.
Exactly.
And on account of that olive tree, because it is significant, even though it's not in their show garden, it does contribute to the name, which is Olive Branch Tramway.
And the pistachio plant, that was just
so cool.
Really cute plant. I love this plant. Frankly, even without the pistachios as much as she wanted them, they both wanted the pistachios.
Without the nuts.
Without the nuts.
Yeah.
But it was still absolutely lovely plant. I thought it was a really cute little shrub.
And it handles harsh winters. It doesn't lose all its leaves like the olive tree does when it gets too cold. And she said that it smells very pistachio-y, just the wood from it.
Yeah.
That'd be gorgeous, wouldn't it?
Love
I wouldn't mind seeking out one of those. If they can handle harsh winters.
Yeah. I really want one of those. Anyways, back to the plants that they're going to have in the little kind of train area. So there was a Japanese larch they were going to add in, and that's really cute because it looks like a miniature bonsai because it's just one stick, a little tuft, and there you go. She also showed a miniature alpine lobelia, really cute, and that should spread across, just kind of soften the edges a bit.
Yep.
There was also a miniature hebe as well.
And then we see Andrew with a vacuum cleaner because you get leaves on the line.
Yeah.
Just like you do with real trains in the UK, the wrong leaves on the line can stop a train running.
Yeah.
So he's out there vacuuming up. Makes perfect sense. I don't know why you would use anything else other than a vacuum cleaner.
Henry Hoover, out we come.
And then we get to see Andy and Louise's show garden. This is called
awesome.
Trains in the Garden. Designer Andy Christie, of course, and they won a gold.
Of course they were going to win a gold. It looked incredible. It looked exactly like those miniature villages that are created.
So much fun.
And obviously everyone's going to be watching it and looking at it, and the kids are going to be pointing at little objects, little figurines.
Every generation's going to enjoy that.
It's so fun. It's like Where's Wally, but on a 3D scape.
But he really has managed to get right from, like you say, from 4 to 104. Everyone can enjoy something in that.
Exactly.
Doesn't matter what age you are, you're going to have fun looking at that garden, aren't you? I imagine it's one that I would be standing by that for a very long time, just in silence, looking around. I wouldn't want to be rushed past that.
No, not. I'd want to even put down one of those foldable chairs, just sit, plonk myself down and just really look at this. My hand on my chin.
Wouldn't you want to be suspended from above like Mission Impossible so you could just float over it to check everything out?
Gosh,
as if you were scuba diving, because like when you see a reef, if you just swim past it fast, you miss everything.
No point.
But if you hover around for a while, that's when the octopus comes out and the eels and all sorts.
I mean, I'm not sure why you chose octopi and eels, because eels, no way.
What's wrong with eels?
I'm not a huge fan of an eel.
Just don't harass them, they're fine.
Yeah, but octopi, I love those.
Yeah.
They're gorgeous.
They are. Octopuses, by the way.
Is it octopuses?
Plural, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Anyway, Louise points out the water feature, and then also, again, we got some more foxgloves and roses, and that's her favourite part of the garden.
Exactly.
They also mention about this wildflower turf that they had. That was quite a challenge, Louise says, and I can imagine that would be. But it's worked really well, hasn't it?
It has.
And then at the end, Sue asks if they would go bigger and do it again. And they reckon no to bigger, yes to doing it again. So that's quite telling.
Very cool.
I will put a link to their Instagram page. You can see lots of photos off that garden.
Great.
It is really fun even looking at the photos, so check that out. But just something you should know about the garden. It looks like Andy had support from a charity, Green Fingers charity, which funds and creates magical therapeutic gardens for children's hospices nationwide.
Perfect.
And they had this sort of part of the charity was you could, if you were over the age of 16, you were able to drive the train for 30 minutes. You gave £25, that went towards the charity. And then you got 30 minutes to drive the train around the track.
Oh, that's very cool.
So much fun.
I so would have done that.
Adam and Arit are looking at some more show gardens, and these are actually showcase gardens.
And also, they're still in the very dark theme. There's the dark theme carrying on.
Yeah, so this one's Dark Side of the Bloom. Now, this is with designer Anthony Massey, and he won a silver for it. I felt slight sadness here because Adam very much wanted to immerse himself in this garden. He wanted to talk a bit more about we know about his love of music, how important his playlists are to him, his the relationship he has between music and gardening, how inspiring it is. He's a real muso like you. He loves his music. It's an important part of his life.
They go hand in hand.
Yeah, he's done a lot of interviews where he says that it's helped a lot with his mental health, the music, and the garden.
On board with that.
And he really wanted to immerse himself, talk a bit more about it, but Arit was so pragmatic and so, nope, chop, come on, we're moving on. We're not going to get carried away with any of this.
She was like the annoying school teacher on a school trip. Like, no, stop looking at the fudge, come on.
But equally, maybe it was needed because otherwise we would have stopped there and not seen any of the others. So that's possibly why Arit and Adam got paired together, so that she would keep him in check. Stop him getting carried away. Oh, bless him. But he talks about how he thinks of Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon, that album.
Yeah.
And he points out the musical elements. So we see a guitar, we see some musical line puns on a chalkboard. Did you see any of those?
I did.
We Will Rockery You. Oh my gosh, these are such mum jokes. Plant It Black. Highway to Hellebore. Come As You Grow. That must be from Nirvana's. Is it Nirvana? Come as you are. Come as you are. But where does grow come from?
Yeah. Or is it not come as you go?
Come as you go. I
So-
don't know. That's more housekeeping. Born to be weed instead of born to be free. I mean, they're spurious.
They're very spurious.
Very spurious puns.
But it was a lot of fun. I've had some fun with puns in the past.
Well, Anthony says, so remember about the Once Upon a Time theme? He said, once upon a time, I was a moody teenager with smudged eyeliner, a guitar in hand, and dreams of becoming a global rock star, not a gardener. If you'd told my 18-year-old self that I'd one day fall in love with plants, I'd have laughed and turned up the volume. This music-inspired garden reimagines the kind of space I might have designed back then. Dark, dramatic, and full of creative energy.
Yeah.
Deep purples and moody foliage set the tone, while a winding bass clef path celebrates my love of music. It's a place to unwind, write, or simply let inspiration grow. Proof that even the most unlikely passions can take root and flourish in time.
I think it should have got a gold, frankly.
That you would have gone straight for that garden, wouldn't you?
Entirely.
Then another showcase garden. This is Greenhouse Noir, designer Little Jardin, and they won a platinum.
Oh,
They also won Best Showcase Garden and Best Construction Landscaper Award.
very cool. Once again in the dark theme.
Exactly, dark beams over the top and the fencing. Again, acers, tree ferns,
Yeah.
fatsias, lots of hostas in there.
Yeah, exactly.
And then there was that stone table at the centre that reminded me of those staddle stones. Do you know those sort of stone mushrooms? Your grandparents have one at their
Oh,
place.
yes, yeah.
Do you remember what they're for?
Wasn't it for the milk or something?
They were for, I mean, nearly keeping vermin away from your grain. So you'd stack them on top of these, or you might have 4 and you'd load a cart on top of that. And then, because of the overhang, it was meant to stop things clambering up.
Very cool.
So it was sort of it gave me that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Very nice. And then we had another showcase garden, Sensed Not Seen. And this was designer Rebecca Williams. And she won a gold for this.
Yeah, I see entirely why.
Yeah.
I love this. So her father is blind, and so
Yes.
she wanted to create a garden that he could really touch, feel, understand, smell, hear as
Yes.
well.
Yeah.
And so she was using all of these senses, which I absolutely love this because it makes us think, oh, we need to sit down and just feel and smell and
Absolutely.
listen to the plants that are around us, which I do think we try to do quite a lot of. I know on Garden as well, they always say, oh, we're always so busy, we'd never sit down. But we do try to sit down.
We very much sit down.
We'll very much plonk ourselves down in a seat quite quickly.
It's an important part of my weekend for sure, is to do a job and then sit, because the sitting is not as enjoyable if you haven't done the job first.
No point doing that.
But I think also Rebecca reminds us you can get not lazy, but it's easy to just think, oh, I like the look of that plant without considering the touch of it. So your lamb's ears are your absolute classic.
Oh, yeah.
I love lamb's ears. I mean, they grow everywhere.
The bees love them because they take the kind of sheath off them.
Yeah, the wool carder bee.
Yeah.
And it scrapes it off.
Yeah,
uses
exactly.
the fluff. But they self-seed so easily. You chop them off and chuck a bit on a path and it grows in the path. They'll grow everywhere. But they are so lovely to touch. You stroke them against your cheek. So nice. But it's easy to forget about these other senses because we all go for visuals. You know, there's a garden later on that's all about just being pink.
Yep.
So she's done a fantastic job of pulling all that together. So in terms of the palette that she uses...
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
She uses those contrasting colours, doesn't she? So that if you do have a little bit of vision, you will see that sort of intentionally contrasting colour palette. So the yellows against purples, for example.
Yeah, just everything pops in that garden. I absolutely loved it. Some
silver birches, wind chimes, of course, and then I really liked a water feature, which was this. It looked like a steel basin, and then the water flowed onto some pebbles that were collected below, and I guess there was a pump bringing the water back up.
Yeah.
But you can imagine the sound as it dropped, not just the falling water, but then it onto the pebbles. What a lovely sound that would make.
Really, really nice.
Very, very nice.
Love that.
And then we meet Jessie, Bertie and Josh in their cottage garden in Stabridge. I really loved their garden.
I know.
We could have done with seeing more of that. I don't feel like they needed any of the advice, in inverted commas, that happens later, because they seem to have a handle on things.
I know.
A lot of foxgloves and delphiniums, lovely tall spires everywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Lots of height.
Because they wanted to feel like little kids in the garden where you
Yeah.
just feel like everything's so huge.
Fairy garden vibe.
Exactly, fairy garden.
And they were also very conscious to attract lots of pollinators.
Yeah, and also very conscious to grow their own. So they
Yep.
have French beans, cucumbers, sprouts, beetroot.
Yeah.
A lot.
Little Bertie.
Oh my
Fell in
god.
love with Bertie.
That
Adorable.
view of Bertie from the ground. And he's just looking with his little podgy feet. It's just like, what do you want?
He made me laugh so much.
So
Also, the
cute.
name is perfect.
Bertie is a very sweet name.
But what they say is that they struggle, because they have lots of these sort of tall plants, they end up leaning a lot on account of the wind and the storms that blow through.
We've had that.
So they want to learn about the structure behind it and how they can put in better structure, really, to stop all the leaning. So then we see them cruising through Gardeners World Live. It was quite an odd segment, this.
I didn't get
They
it.
approached Frances for some help. So I thought, oh, great, we're going to, this is going to be interesting. It's over with it. You blink and you miss the advice that she gives. What advice does Frances give?
Well, she said, first of all, put some trees in, like hazel or birch, and then you can take cuttings from those to make little supports, which I kind of got. But I was still thinking, but you want something kind of in that middle layer. You don't want something taller than the other plants. So that was interesting. And then she said about having annuals.
I didn't understand how that helped.
That doesn't help that much. And then sweet peas, which need something to grow up.
Yeah.
Which can
But
kind of
how do
work.
annuals help? What are they doing?
Well, I suppose the ones which are kind of really shrubby and bushy, the ones which are kind of shrubby and bushy and kind of centre, middle to low ground. Whereas if you've got sweet peas, they're going up. They're not supporting. They're wanting to be supported.
Yeah, of course.
So I didn't entirely get it. But geraniums.
I was just going to say, you mentioned, is this what you're referring to?
So
hardy geraniums.
You bring me back to the point that I was going to completely and utterly forget. The geraniums that we talked about, the anchor plants, they're there for a reason.
That Rosie was talking about.
Yeah, if they put those in their garden, that would really, really help with just generally keeping things more stable. Especially that one that gets really tall, the Orion one.
The blue one.
The blue one. I think that would really, really help.
That would look great against foxgloves as well, wouldn't it? Can you imagine? It's just the right height as well, so it just sits below.
Oh, that would look awesome.
Oh, I like that idea.
I'm trying to think of any other plants I've got in the garden. I know actually that salvias, the really if you tightly cut them so that they're quite dense. I mean, actually, frankly, when you don't cut them, some of ours, which are quite sprawly, they're really tough, and anything growing up between them uses them as kind of like a, the twiglet mesh that you create for peas. It's kind of like that. And any plants just kind of find the light and go up through them. Yeah. So that would be another great plant.
Yeah, I like that. Salvias, they really handle everything, don't they?
They handle everything.
They're the best thing in our garden, I'd say.
Smell incredible. So, frankly, you could have the hardy ones or the non-hardy ones, because the non-hardy ones, you get really tough, big, bushy shapes at the end.
What about if you put in sunflowers for your sweet peas to grow up?
Yeah, that's nice. That's what I'm doing with the peas.
Yeah, exactly. So you do it in the veg gardens if they want something for their sweet peas.
Yeah, if they're wanting sweet peas.
But that was what Frances recommended.
That was just a recommendation. Anyway, so I wasn't entirely sure about
that was a confusing section.
It's confusing.
Well, I should mention that when Jessie and Josh and Frances were talking, they were standing in the Rags Beautiful border, or by the Rags Beautiful border, Return to Gothic. Oh. And that was designers Georgina Spencer and Alice Pote, and they won a platinum for that.
Fantastic.
We're with Adam, and he's looking at Make a Meter Matter wheelbarrows. This is a beautiful competition for schools to transform a wheelbarrow. Just the greatest idea. And they've got De Graft Mensa, who's judging them. He's a Newsround presenter. Yeah. And he talks briefly about how he has his own allotment. He didn't garden as a kid, but he found out he comes from a long line of farmers. So it's in his genes. Yeah. What fun to be the judge of these wheelbarrows. We see some of the most gorgeous, and you let kids just run riot and do what they want, because they're not restricted by the unwritten rules that the rest of us are
Yeah.
from just getting old and jaded.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
they can have anything mad going on that they want.
I want to know the kids who came up with the tuk-tuk car.
What a brilliant idea. What about the Bolognese themed barrow?
Oh,
Spaghetti.
fantastic. Just a whole thing where literally
Yeah.
all of that, whack it and you make a bolognese.
A curry themed barrow. Well, we didn't get to see enough of
No.
them, so I put a link in and you can see each and every individual one
Oh,
in a bit
great.
more detail. Absolutely
Fantastic.
gorgeous.
I love that.
And then finally, we're at Alice's garden. This is Professor Alice Roberts. So it's the Garden of Evolution, created by Professor Alice Roberts, designed by Professor David Stevens. And this one, Best Show Garden and a Platinum Award.
I mean, come on now, if it didn't, that would just be a bit stupid.
But so exciting, all hidden behind a wall. And we get to see when Francis approaches Alice, Alice is moving a few of those trilobites around because they were getting into the wrong pools. So historically incorrect. So that's no good.
Incorrect, yeah.
Do you want some trilobite fun facts?
Yeah.
They went extinct 252 million years ago during the Permian Triassic extinction, known as the Great Dying.
Oh.
This cataclysm wiped out over 90% of all marine species. The disappearance was caused by a combination of rapid global warming, ocean acidification, toxic anoxic waters, and intense competition from newly evolved marine predators. It's a pretty rough time to exist,
Yeah,
I'd say.
poor things. They're just like, oh, come on, stop adding on more stuff. We got it by the first one.
Actually, the toxic water reminded me of your grandparents who told us they've been having copper sulfate come through their pipes.
Gosh, bright blue in their baths.
Because a farmer upstream decided to bore and try and illegally attach to the mains water.
Yeah.
And he didn't put the correct, we put in a defunct valve in, which meant that they were getting this acidic water coming in, which was eroding the copper pipes. And all the villagers were getting blue water coming out of their pipes, their drinking water, their bathing water. Quite concerning, isn't it?
Yeah, look out for any farmers next door.
I think it's appalling. I hope your grandparents are okay.
I hope so.
Anyway, then Alice talks about how they're showcasing non-flowering plants in this particular segment because back then it wasn't about the flowers at all.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
You've got things like that horsetail, which that was in the Devonian swamps. Alice says.
Yeah, exactly. Which I thought looked really, really cool.
Amazing.
I mean, frankly, this garden looks so epic. I also just want to say that Alice's, what she was wearing, she looked so incredibly awesome with what she was wearing. She looked so smart, and then she was in this beautiful Jurassic kind of like garden. It was so cool.
Did you also see the fish on its way to becoming land based?
Oh, yes.
Sneaking out the water.
Crawling out the water. It's like, don't mind me.
And then Francis says that horsetails are in fact ferns.
Yes, they're called equisetums. That's the posh name for them.
I think they had been reclassified from what I could gather from what Francis was saying.
Yes, because there were also ferns and cycads as well, those kind of palmy looking tree plants.
Was that in the Devonian section?
Yeah.
Then we're in the Carboniferous stage, and we've got the tree ferns again.
Conifers.
And some actual trees.
Yeah, exactly.
Early conifers at this point. And they walk very rapidly through an extinction event where everything's dying, so just got a load of dead stuff.
There's a lot of charcoal and blackened rocks and all sorts.
And then Alice explains that life's picking back up, and then they get to the Jurassic and the Cretaceous period.
And there's some flowering plants.
David is at this point.
Yes. The flower of everyone wants to see.
And Alice wants people to take away the fact that we're part of nature, we're part of the story, and the story doesn't stop here. Which is similar to the quote that I used from Monty the other week, that I used on my friend.
Yeah.
It is very true. We have to remember we're all part of it, and it's to continue. So don't just give up on it.
No.
And then they all head off for some bubbly.
Lovely.
Yeah. Do you want some Alice fun facts?
Sure.
Alice has said that her fascination with the ancient past was sparked by watching a video of a live unwrapping of a mummy at Bristol Museum when she was just 8 years old.
Oh, I mean, that would fascinate me. That's very cool.
I mean, there are too many fun facts for Alice for me to go through, so I'll just give you the Wikipedia page, but some that stood out for me. In 1988, she won the BBC One Blue Peter Young Artist competition and appeared on the front of the Radio Times magazine with her picture.
Oh, cool.
Then listen to her credentials, academic credentials. She studied medicine at the University of Wales College of Medicine. which is now part of Cardiff University, and graduated with a Bachelor of Medicine, Bachelor of Surgery degree, having gained an intercalated Bachelor of Science degree in anatomy. In 2008, after 7 years, she completed her PhD in paleopathology, which is the study of disease in ancient human remains. And then after graduating, she worked as a junior doctor with the National Health Service in South Wales. And then she left clinical medicine and worked as an anatomy demonstrator at Bristol Uni, becoming a lecturer there in 1999. She spent 7 years working part-time on her PhD in paleopathology, getting a degree in 2008. She was a senior teaching fellow at the University of Bristol Centre for Comparative and Clinical Anatomy, where her main role was teaching clinical anatomy, embryology, and physical anthropology, as well as researching osteoarchaeology and paleopathology.
Oh my
Could
God.
she have more ologies to her name?
Yeah, could she have more ologies to her name? That is exactly.
It really doesn't stop there, but in February 2012, a lot more happened in between. She was appointed the University of Birmingham's first Professor of Public Engagement in Science.
Wow.
And that's where she is now. And then you look at her TV history, and that dates way back.
Ooh.
But she wrote and presented a BBC Two series on anatomy and health, which was called Dr. Alice Roberts' Don't Die Young.
Oh,
So you may have seen that.
possibly, yeah.
There was also a 5-part series of human evolution and also early human migrations for BBC Two. And I think you've definitely seen some of those because we've looked at those together. So this is where you've seen Alice
Okie
before.
dokie.
Finally, Monty's in a showcase garden called The Power of Pink Plants. This was by designer Samantha Stringer, and she won a silver. Francis joins him. They talk a bit about their like or not of pink. We find out Frances doesn't want it on her walls, but she doesn't want it on plants.
Nor on her clothes either.
And then finally, Monty says that next year it's not going to be at the NEC, it's going to be at Packington Estate, which is a 4,500 acre estate just down the road.
Really beautiful.
That sounds enticing. More enticing than going into Birmingham to the NEC.
Yeah, exactly, because going into Birmingham isn't that nice.
It's less appealing, but going out to a country estate is
Lovely.
very appealing. So we might have to try. It depends on your studies. But I wouldn't mind going because I'd love to see all the show garden.
I mean, if it's this time next year, it should be all right.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Well, what was your favourite garden? We're doing a favourite garden instead of favourite plant this time.
Yeah.
So of all the gardens, the borders as well, you can choose from anything.
Yeah.
What was your favourite?
Even the wheelbarrows.
Frankly.
Yes. And so, I mean, I'm between two. I'm between the sensed, not seen.
Oh, okay.
Garden. I just love that. I love the idea of it. Yeah, just everything about it. Couldn't fault it one bit.
Yeah.
And frankly, I love the tuk-tuk car wheelbarrow.
Oh, okay. Great
so
choices.
hilariously cool.
Oh, I love that you've gone for those because mine are a lot more obvious. I had to go with two as well.
Oh, yeah.
One was the train one, Andy's train one.
Obviously.
The other was Alice's evolution garden.
Oh, yeah.
I know it's a no-brainer, but
It has to be said.
I like the storytelling from both.
I like a story. I really like the idea of you start here in the garden, you end there, and throughout you're being told a story.
Yeah.
I want that. If I was to create a garden, I'd do that.
I would really love to have seen those two gardens. I'm really gutted that we didn't get to see them in the flesh.
Oh.
Anyway, what's your top takeaway?
My top takeaway is the use of cork.
Oh, it's mine as well.
Well, it has to be said because it's very interesting, and to know that it is sustainable and actually seems to be all right for the tree.
Yeah.
That is good.
So you saying I need to drink more wine, chop up all my bits of cork, bring them out to the greenhouse for you?
That would be ideal. Yes, please.
Leave it with me, sweetie.
But wash them beforehand. I don't want my seedlings to get drunk.
Okay, fair enough.
Thanks.
Right, next week, it is the 26th of June.
We're with Monty, aren't we?
We're back with Monty. At Longmeadow, Monty is in full summer mode, revamping and refreshing borders to keep the garden looking its best right through the season. He turns his attention to the cucurbit family, planting melons and squash, shares a simple trick to extend the flowering of hardy geraniums, and sows perennial seeds for spectacular colour next year. Arit Anderson heads to southeast London to discover the striking transformation of a garden that was once a derelict space into a bold, contemporary community garden powered by creativity, collaboration and clever planting. Rachel de Tame explores how self-seeding plants can be carefully choreographed to create a beautifully natural flowing design. There's a passionate grower dedicated to the national collection of penstemons, and in the Yorkshire Dales, a florist and lifelong gardener shares a deeply personal story of resilience, finding strength, purpose, and renewed creativity through rebuilding a garden after a life-changing diagnosis.
Interesting.
So if you want to get in touch with us about anything we've talked about, then please do so. You can do that at
notjustagun.co.uk.
you go to the contacts page, or you can email us at
notjustagun@outlook.com.
And as mentioned, Sweetpea has put a plant list together. If you want to receive that, then just add your email to subscribe and you'll receive that in an email into your box with a beautiful plant list from Sweetpea herself.
And a little blog about this week's recap.
Yep, a blog about that. Also, if you subscribe, you'll get the blogs and all the links for all our Chit Chat guests of this new series.
Exactly.
We've got some really fun and interesting guests coming up, so please tune into those.
Yeah, and don't worry, you won't be getting any spam mail.
You won't be inundated at all.
Yeah.
Right, well, we need to get cracking with this day, so we shall see you next week.
Sure will. Thank you for listening.
Bye-bye, Sweetpea.
Bye, Mummy Bear.